I'm going to show you how to build self-trust after betrayal so your nervous system finally calms down. This is the exact framework I've used with clients who have spent years stuck in anxiety, sleeplessness, and self-doubt after heartbreak, divorce, or loss. It's simple, it's science-backed, and it works. Even if therapy, breath work, or trauma program haven't helped you. It takes about 30 days to implement, but you'll start noticing the difference within the first week. Deeper sleep, clearer thinking, and real peace in your body. If that sounds like the kind of freedom you've been searching for, this video is for you. The betrayal that breaks your nervous system. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how much time passes after a painful event, you still feel like part of you never came back? You move on, you tell yourself it's over, but your body won't let it go. You wake up anxious, your stomach hurts, you can't sleep, and you start to think, maybe I'm just broken. Here's the good news. You're not broken. You're betrayed. And not just by someone else. You've actually been betrayed by yourself. And I know that can sound harsh out of the gates here, but hang in there with me. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean here. In this video, we're going to unpack what actually happens to your nervous system after betrayal and why your body keeps replaying the same pain for decades, and how to finally rebuild trust, not with others, but with yourself. This is the key to healing right here. The moment everything changed. Everyone has a before and after moment, the point where life split into two timelines. For a client of mine, we'll call him Robert, it was the day everything he built collapsed. He had a thriving restaurant, a family, and stability. And then, divorce, loss, and betrayal. His wife's family literally came to his home and threw him out. 25 years later is when I met Robert, and his body was still living in that moment. Because betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your sense of safety. One day you believe you understand how the world works, and the next you realize you didn't see the danger coming. That's not just emotional shock, that's your nervous system collapsing. There's nothing more dysregulating than expecting X to happen and Y happening. Being blindsided by something you didn't see coming. The nervous system collapses because everything the nervous system believes about the world just imploded. When safety turns into surveillance, here's the trap betrayal creates. When you get blindsided, when life hits you with something you never saw coming, your nervous system learns one thing. This is it right here. If I didn't see that coming, I can't trust myself. And if you didn't see that coming, the nervous system basically is saying, what else don't I know? And so it stays on high alert. You start scanning for red flags everywhere. You second guess every decision. You play it safe, hesitate to take action, and call it being careful, when really you're terrified of being blindsided again. And this is exactly the situation with this gentleman I was working with. He came to me because he said, I just can't get started. Like I just can't, I'm no motivation to move forward. I can't get myself to do the things I know I need to do. And this is exactly why it was happening. And it's really important to understand that this is not laziness or weakness. It's survival. Your brain has decided never again. And it keeps you trapped in constant defense mode, even when there's no threat. The hidden betrayal no one talks about. The hardest truth about betrayal isn't what someone did to you. It's what you did to yourself. And again, I know that's hard to hear, but again, just hang in there. Because before anyone else betrayed you, this is the key. You ignored your own warnings. You saw red flags and you stayed. You made excuses, you tolerated what hurt you, you silenced your intuition, in the name of loyalty, love, or peace. Now, this is a different client that I worked with that came to me because her husband cheated on her. And so they had got a divorce. It was obviously very, very, painful. And after working with her a little bit, I asked her, when was the moment that you realized you couldn't trust your husband? And she said to me, well, when I found out he was cheating on me. I said, are you sure that was the moment? There was no indication before that. And she's like, well, no. And then, it kind of poked a little bit more. And she goes, well, he did cheat on me when we were engaged. And I just assumed he was getting it out of his system. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You saw red flags and you stayed. That's the betrayal your nervous system can't forgive, because deep down, it's not protecting you from them anymore. It's protecting you from your own choices. Until you repair this relationship, until you can say, I trust myself to protect me now. I'm going to listen to myself, basically, is what trusting yourself means. Your system will keep you frozen, not because it hates you, but because it remembers what happened when you didn't listen. Sometimes not easy, but really, really important. Rebuilding trust after collapse. So how do you build that retrust? Right here. It starts with ownership, not blame, ownership. And that's the hardest step for people, okay? And you got to be gentle with yourself here, because it immediately feels like blame when you own something. So with that particular woman and with this particular gentleman, easing into, hey, what can you own here that contributed to this outcome? That's the key question, because that's where your power lies. If you can identify the role you played in this blindsiding act, then you have some power to avoid it in the future. And these are some of the questions you ask. Where did I abandon myself? When did I know it wasn't okay and I stayed anyway? What warning signs did I excuse in the name of love? Okay, these are the getting real questions here. These are the things you got to own, because that's where healing begins. Because when you finally tell yourself the truth, your body starts to believe you again. When you are denying what actually happened, your nervous system's not going to be at rest, because it's saying, hey, that's not what happened. Hey, we saw things. Hey, we ignored them. Hey, we need to acknowledge that. And that's because your nervous system doesn't need perfection. It needs proof that you're listening. Okay, big box around that one. Every time you speak up for yourself, set a boundary. Or say no when something feels wrong. You're retraining your body to trust that you'll protect it this time. This is part of the healing process. After ownership, then you got to build trust back with your nervous system by listening to it when it speaks. This is how safety comes back, not through forgiveness, through self-trust. When people harm you, it's hard to forgive, okay? But it's easier to forgive if you go here first, self-trust. If you own your role in this, it'll be easier, I promise. Why you still don't feel safe. Here's what nobody tells you about trauma and nervous system healing. You can't fix your nervous system by calming it. You fix it by resolving the confusion that created the threat. The body isn't anxious because it wants to be. It's anxious because it still doesn't understand why what happened happened. This is what I call an open loop, right? It's a loop that needs to be closed, and as long as that loop is opened, it's going to have an alarm system on, right? Here you go. And until it does, it keeps the alarm on. That's why all the breath work, EFT, and calming techniques, they don't last unless they're being used to do this, to find out why it happened. Otherwise, you're silencing the smoke alarm, but the fire is still burning underneath, okay? That's where you got to be careful with all these techniques. If we're using them to quiet the anxiety, the overwhelm, the sadness, as opposed to using them to understand these communications so that we can actually solve the problem, you're going to need to do these things for the rest of your life, and it's still not going to get you where you want to go. Super frustrating. So many clients come to me and they've been trying all the things and they still feel this way. Until they go through these steps, nothing changes. The path back to you. The goal isn't to erase the past. And here's the golden nugget, guys. It's to extract wisdom from it. You can gain so much operational intelligence by going back and owning your role in something so you can make the calibrations going forward. It's just like when you successful business owners. One of the common things among most successful business owners are failed businesses. You're as long as you iterate the failures, you'll have a better chance of succeeding in the future. Okay, and that's when you look back and say, that version of me didn't know how to protect itself, but this version does. This is the upgrade in your software. If you own it and extract the wisdom, you're upgrading your software. That's the moment the body exhales. That's when sleep returns. That's when you stop waiting for the next bad thing to happen, because you've prepared yourself for it. You've made sense of it. Because the antidote to betrayal isn't trusting in others, right? It's not about I can't trust others and you have to figure out how to do that. It's about learning how to trust yourself again. So you can trust the communications that happen throughout the process and integrate the communications. So what can you do right now? Here's your starting point. Name your before and after moment, the day everything changed. Write it down. Don't analyze it, just name it. Ask yourself, what did I see that I ignored? Write one thing. That's the self you're rebuilding trust with. Now, the only exception to this is if it happened to you when you were a child. Okay? Children don't have the agency to protect themselves, especially if the traumatic thing is happening to them by the person who's supposed to keep them safe. So forget this if we're talking about something that happened in childhood. That's a different process. This is more for things that happened in your adult when you had agency. Each time you listen to your intuition, note it. You're teaching your body that you can be trusted again. All right? You can be trusted again. And if you're ready to stop trying to fix your nervous system and start understanding it, join me for a session where we'll go to the real root of why your system won't calm down. Because until you solve the safety, peace, and because until you solve for safety and peace, because until you solve for safety, peace will always feel temporary. Because the goal isn't just to move on. The goal is to finally feel safe inside of your own skin. The goal is to finally feel safe inside your own skin.